Most people stay away from Blackridge Peak when the winter wind goes quiet. They say the silence is a warning that the mountain is holding its breath. On one specific night in the middle of July, the air was too still for the season. The snow lay thick and heavy across the summit. It was completely untouched, except for a single trail of tiny bird-like footprints. These tracks did not follow a straight line. They zigzagged across the ice. They spun in wide circles and doubled back on themselves. Then they would leap forward again, as if the creature making them could not decide whether to walk or dance. At the very end of this strange trail stood a figure only 4 feet tall. He was wrapped in a heavy cloak made of midnight feathers that shimmered like oil in the dark. This was Gopper. He was a creature of the high places, and his crow nose glinted sharply under the light of the full moon. Gopper had mismatched eyes that told 2 different stories. One eye was a bright goblin green, and the other was a deep raven black. He used them to scan the horizon for things that normal people could never see. Perched on the end of his wooden wand was a crow named Trimmer. The bird puffed his feathers out to stay warm against the biting cold. Trimmer clicked his beak and spoke in a voice that was as smooth as sliding ice. He told Gopper that it was a cold night. Gopper did not say a word in return. He did not need to speak because the crow always spoke for him. This is the story of the Fog Dancer and the secret ritual that keeps the mountain alive. Gopper slowly lifted the mimicry wand into the air. This wand was not made of normal wood. It was carved from a branch of the oldest tree in the valley, and it hummed with a low energy. Trimmer hopped from Gopper's shoulder to the very tip of the wand and spread his wings halfway. The crow asked if he was ready to begin. Gopper did not nod, but he gripped the handle tighter. He leaned forward and tapped the frozen snow 1 time. A small ripple of light moved through the ice. Then he tapped the snow a 2nd time. The ground began to vibrate with a low frequency. On the 3rd tap, the snow beneath his feet did not just sit there. It began to melt and transform into a swirling dark fog. This fog was thick and heavy, and it felt alive. It curled around Gopper's ankles like a loyal pet seeking attention. Then the mist began to rise in long spirals as Gopper started to move his body. He took a long step to the left and then a quick spin to the right. He finished the move with a sharp heel stomp that echoed through the canyons. The fog pulsed with every single motion he made. Trimmer began to caw in a perfect rhythm that matched the dancing. The crow's voice echoed across the cliffs and down into the dark forest below. He told the dancer to keep going because the mountain was watching his every move. From the center of the swirling fog, dozens of crows suddenly burst upward into the sky. Then there were hundreds of them. Their wings beat in perfect synchronization with the steps Gopper took on the peak. They circled around him like a living halo of black feathers and sharp beaks. Trimmer's voice began to change as the dance grew more intense. It grew deeper, and it was layered with 1,000 echoes. He said that the night was shifting into something else. Gopper's shadow began to stretch out across the white snow. It grew longer and wider until it split apart. The shadow rose up from the ground and stood beside him as a mirror form. This double was made entirely of thick fog and loose feathers. Now there were 2 figures dancing together on the edge of the world. One was solid and real, while the other was made of smoke and magic. The entire mountain began to tremble as the ritual reached its peak. This was the power of the Mist Dancer. He was not just performing for himself. He was weaving a spell to protect the peak from what was coming. Trimmer's eyes suddenly flashed with a bright silver light. He stopped cawing and began to speak in a voice that was not his own. It was a voice that sounded much older and much colder than any bird. It was the voice of the mountain itself. He said that something was climbing the mountain tonight. Gopper froze in the middle of a complex spin. The swirling fog stopped moving and stayed perfectly still in the air. The hundreds of crows went silent all at once and hovered on the wind. The only thing that moved was the freezing breeze. Trimmer turned his head slowly toward the dark path that led up from the valley floor. He said that something was coming that should not be there. The fog grew even thicker until you could not see the stars anymore. The mountain held its breath as the intruder got closer and closer. Gopper raised his wand one last time and prepared for a fight. Trimmer spread his wings wide and let out a final warning cry. The night had officially shifted, and the peace was over. Whatever was climbing that mountain was about to meet the Fog Dancer of Blackridge Peak. The moral of the story is that silence on a mountain is never truly empty. It is just the space between the dance and the danger. Just like the Mona Lisa or a billion-dollar startup, the real power is in the story you do not see coming. Keep your eyes on the mist, because the dancer is still out there.